So here's something I thought might be interesting to talk about, Briahna. So Brian Griffin is apparently a comms person for Ron DeSantis, and he shared on Twitter that The View had sent to him an invite for DeSantis to come on the show. And he kind of kicked it to Twitter, saying The View emailed our office on Friday asking for us to arrange an interview or an appearance with DeSantis. They wrote, "We would be honored. Thoughts?" Like he wants kind of Twitter DeSantis fans to weigh in. Then ultimately, so he also shared this on Twitter. Here's our response. "Thanks for the invite. I understand you are sending this request on behalf of your team, but are the hosts of The View really interested in hearing from Governor DeSantis about all the important work he's doing on behalf of Floridians?" Blah, blah, blah. And then links to several times where members of The View, hosts of The View, called DeSantis crazy things, like called him Death Santis and, accused him of killing everyone during COVID, accused him of being a fascist and a bigot. I mean, these are direct quotes. Death Santis, I think he's a fascist and a bigot. That's something Sonny Hostin said. So ultimately, then this press person tells The View, "We will pass on this offer." And then says, actually, maybe they were coordinating through the wrong office, because I guess he's the press person for the official governor's office. Sure. Whatever. But then Christina Pashaw, who's the DeSantis comms person that I know better, is, I think, better known, and is very vocal on Twitter, responded, "Perfect. Nothing that infuriates liberals more than seeing their own insane words repeated back to them." So this, I think, is worth talking about because it's very indicative of DeSantis' strategy vis-a-vis this Christina Pashaw comms person. The strategy is just not to bother doing media appearances with hostile media, which is everyone in the mainstream media. And I wonder what you, as a former comms person for I expect DeSantis to eventually be a presidential comms team, just like Sanders. So I wondered what you thought of it. My thought is that this is actually a missed opportunity. Maybe I'm an old-fashioned news guy. I think it's only to DeSantis' benefit to appear on The View. Is he going to get harassed by, he's going to get some crazy comments? Sure. But, he wants more people outside of narrow conservative political Twitter to know who he is. I would say do it.
Look, there's a way you can play this where if he went on and were really gracious and had a winning personality, he could create a contrast between how he presents and how he's been characterized on the show that make the hosts look foolish. However, it is not my understanding that he's a particularly charming person. No shade, that's just most politicians don't have that magic touch necessarily. And also The View is a particularly intimidating environment. You have ratios that are not good for you if you go on there as a conservative or as a leftist, I might add. Bernie Sanders never had an appearance on The View that wasn't disastrous. And my humble opinion was that it was not worth him going on that particular show. I remember at one point, I think Whoopi Goldberg said to Bernie, "Hey, this guy Andrew Yang has this idea about the 1% versus the 99%. Have you ever heard of it?" Bernie's looking at the camera like a Larry David pig because, of course, he's the guy. He popularized the idea. But all of that aside, it is a potential opportunity, but I also completely understand
She'd probably just gotten medical advice from Dr. Jill Biden.
But look, here's also what The View has to live with. There's a thing called access journalism, right? Where you don't say things that are truthful about folks because you want them to come on the show. And I would not advocate for that. But there also is a way that you can make your criticisms in a way that conveys a certain respect for the position that keeps the door open for them actually wanting to come on and talk to you. Because nobody's ever going to, if I'm like, Robby, you're a poopy head, you're never going to want to come and do my show. Now, I can say my legitimate criticisms of you,
I have a thicker skin. I can put up with a lot more criticism than the rest of the people in this business. But,
I don't blame anybody who has been critiqued, especially if they believe they've been critiqued in bad faith, to want to come on a show.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think, though, DeSantis needs to be able to do what you just outlined, or else he's not going to be as good a candidate as everyone in the Republican circle wants him to be. Frankly, I don't know how well he handles himself in these kinds of situations because I haven't seen him do a lot of them. Maybe he used to do them, he doesn't do them anymore.
Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows he's got more Bloomberg vibes than Obama vibes in terms of personal charm.
That's not a good sign because eventually you have to do, or maybe you don't. Maybe just now we're so in our own media bubbles, he'll just do his own supportive kind of conservative media thing. Won't have to be challenged. Look, I get it. Yes, there'll be hostile interviews. It'll be unpleasant. But if he does just what you said, it could be disarming. It could help. So I think it is a missed opportunity, and I think it's something I increasingly see from Republicans in a DeSantis mold, that there's no reason to talk to anyone outside, the loyal fans.
And that's the Republicans' whole thing right now, right?
It really is.
The conservative ethos.
And then you can't turn around and say, oh, the liberals are so intolerant, they're so easily offended, they're so sensitive, they can't, facts don't care about your feelings, they can't, they're little emotional bubbles. Well, then don't dwell in a bubble yourself.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. It'd
be great TV.
And entertainment value.
Please do it. Please do it. I know we have to admit our own perverse incentives here, right?
It's true.
We absolutely want it to happen.
But also, for the sake of capital D democracy or whatever you want to call it, we do need to have, I think, forums like that. Whatever you think about the substance of The View and its host, I do think that roundtable format and having the ability to talk over multiple commercial breaks and have a more fulsome conversation is exactly the kind of format we need more of outside of like this 7-minute kind of news cycle-y format that we typically get, because there are hard questions that need to be asked and contextualized, and there are follow-ups that need to be asked that aren't often asked, and people don't have the opportunity to ask. So I would like to see it done, but I also wish we lived in a world where some of the View hosts were able and willing to engage with him on the things that he should be engaged with, the things that I think he is justly criticized for, and leave some of the ad hominem kind of fun name stuff.
He let those beaches be open, and all the people who are COVIDing during beach, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I said it once, I'll say it again.
Didn't hold up well.
Democrats overreaching and criticizing for more than they can, charging people for more than they can actually prove is a problem with their own credibility. And it lets people like DeSantis, who I think can be rightly criticized on a whole host of things, get off the hook.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking out for that interview. Fingers crossed, but they apparently said no for now. Maybe that will change. We would love to have Ron DeSantis on if he's
and Joy Behar.
I'd be kind of friendly. You'd be kind of hostile. It'd be better. It'd be a better experience than The View. It'd be a better experience than The View. We're at least, I think we're a little better informed.
Not hostile, but I would be
critical. You'd be critical. All right, we'll have more Rising right after this.